welcome to the rather noisy world of stocks, or to be more precise, stock car racing. We're here at Hartlepool Stadium for the Formula One British Drivers' Championships. Most of the world's top drivers are here, but they've all got to qualify by racing in 3 of today's 8 heats. Well, just in case you're not familiar with stock car racing, let's immediately get a flavour of today's action. Let's go out onto the track and join our commentator, Nigel King.
The blue top showing his extra experience there, cut through on the inside. 250 now up into second place, and he's going very well, coming to challenge the leader in a moment or two. There's not much to choose between the pair of them. There they are, first and second, and in fact the second place man, the yellow top driver, decides perhaps that discretion is the better part of valour on that one. The blue roof, of course, indicates that he's a higher grade than the yellow top man. All the drivers gain points every time they race. And then they're assembled in a grading of white, yellow, blue, and the top men, of course, have the red roofs. 2:03 and 4:61 found themselves well and truly jammed into the fence, and they're not going to go a lot further. Time is running out, 1.5 laps left now. And it's Willie Harrison and Mike Close in second and third places. But there's only one more to go as the leader goes through. That's the leader, the blue car just going through. Inside his final lap now. He's got this one sewn up to get those valuable points towards qualifying for the final. Second and third place men have got no hope of catching him as he comes down the straight and over the line to take the flag. That's the winner, car number 250, Gerald Taylor. And the leader going quite comfortably now. He won't be rushing too much at the moment. He'll want to get the feel of the track this afternoon. So there's 523, and here's the second man who's chasing. Starman Bert Finnegan, number 55, and 286 is right there with him. And there he goes, putting the bumper in now. He's not afraid to push. The white top wisely moves over, and the leader now is 55, Bert Finnegan, comes sweeping through. So that's Bert Finnegan into the lead. 523, the white top, Barry Burton. 55 from 286, that's the scrap. Out he goes wide, now the back marker. Now this is where problems can come. You've got to choose which way to go, but the back marker conveniently moves to the outside. And in goes John Chilson, and he's going to get himself whooped, and he's very careful here. He puts him over the curbing, and that bounces him off, and as they go over the line, it's Bert Finnegan who just gets it. So as they came to the final turn, Bert Finnegan thought he'd got it in the bag. John Chilson made one last effort to try and get him out of the way, nearly came unstuck in the process, and Bert Finnegan managed to shake him off and still grab the checkered flag.
Well, it's quite obvious there's some real power out there on the track. This magnificent beast of a machine belongs to the Wolf, Len Wolfenden, current world champion. Len, how much power is there underneath your bonnet there?
Well, the back wheels is about 300 brake horsepower at 5,000 RPM. And that's, you know, it's literally like drag racing on a small circuit. The back axle's welded up. We use a wheel stagger to get around the corners. The car weighs roughly 2,900 weight, you know, just short of 1.5 tons. And it takes some handling on a small track with perhaps 26 cars on the track at once.
Well, 190 is the Wolf's number. He says he's in good form at the moment. His first race is in Heat 3. Let's go back to the trackside and join Nigel King.
And there's the world champion, and from the right at the back of the grid, he's already up into 6th place and going very well. 4 laps gone. 462 now takes it up, Keith Davids. And he's got 160, Andy Stott chasing him fast. And in fact, Andy Stott goes through into the lead. That's the man who currently is second in the national points chart. So he's notched up the valuable points, can justify being up front there. And up into second place now comes the world champion, 190, Len Wolfenden. Right behind him, number 2, Willie Harrison, you saw there. And there's only one man there chasing, and that's car number 160, Andy Stott. Here they are. This is the leading group. 160, 190, and 2. And those 3 now opened out a little bit of a gap ahead of 212 Frankie Wainman. 367 is tucked back a little further now, and he's going to have a job now to get back in touch with them. So 160 in that immaculate car. Beautiful paint job, handling well. But now here's a chance for Len Wolfenden as Andy Stott gets held up by that back marker. He's now got Len Wolfenden right on his tail, and there's 2 more laps to go. Now, what are the tactics going to be? Sit there and hope he'll go wide, or is he going to have to put the bumper in? Chances are beginning to run out now. 1 car length between them. That back marker on the outside is always a hazard. Len Wolfenden sticking tight as they go into the final lap. Is Len Wolfenden going to sit there and take second place, or is there going to be a big push come in as they go to the final turn? Andy Stott tries to get a bit of an advantage. The push goes in. I don't know whether it's going to be enough. Then Wolfenden on the inside. His foot goes down, but as they go over the line, it's a very narrow thing. 160. Andy Stott takes it by, what, a short bumper, I suppose.
Well, no wonder the competition is fierce out there. The British Championship is really only second in status to the World Championship. So it's a big day for Hartlepool Stadium to put on an event like this, and a big day too for their promoter, Warren Taylor. Warren, how much of an achievement is it for you to stage a meeting like this?
Well, it's quite an achievement, and also I get a lot of fantastic backing from the drivers who allowed this championship to come to Hartlepool Stadium. It's a good feather in the cap for them, and I'm very pleased with the turnout today. It's absolutely fantastic. It looks as if the money's going to be well and truly raced for today. There's no doubt about that. It's going to be hard work for anyone to win the championship today.
How big a stronghold of stock car racing is Hartlepool now?
It's becoming very popular there now, Roger. It was a struggle in the first 2 or 3 years, but it's coming right there now. Everything's coming into shape. It's a lot easier to run meetings the longer you go and put them on. We're getting a lot more interest throughout the area, a lot more local drivers who are becoming very competitive, so it's getting a fairly good stronghold there now.
Well, as Hartlepool Stadium has grown as a stock car centre, so too has the flow of local talent from the region. Men like Mike Close, Gerald Taylor and John Toulson. Let's catch up on how they're doing in the heat so far.
And the start car takes a slightly different exit route onto the grass as we get underway with this heat. Some quite good talent in this particular event, and the local hopes are resting with a couple of drivers. 199, reigning European champion there. That's Mike Close from Starbottom, which is over near Leyburn in North Yorkshire. He must be in with a very good chance. And the other guy, 250, and that's Gerald Taylor from Coxhoe in County Durham. And he was one of the original winners of the British Drivers' title when it was held under a different format way back in 1972. So we'll see how they get on. So there's Bert Finnegan just going through in second. He's come up very fast indeed. Behind him, we've got the 53 car of John Lund. 199, Mike Close is there as well. In the closing stages now, 2 more laps to go. Still 55, then there's 1 back marker in there, and we go back to 250, and a little way back, it's still 53 John Lund, and then 199 Mike Close. So there's 55. That's the leader. Inside the closing stages as he goes over the line to take that checkered flag. All ready now. Valuable points for Bert Finnegan in 55. So the 1, 2, 3, 55 Bert Finnegan. In second place, 250 Gerald Taylor. And in third place, 199 Mike Close. Local hopes in this one rest with car number 286. John Toulson comes from Middleton in Teesdale, and certainly one of the Northeast's up-and-coming stars. There he is, John Toulson, 286, doing quite well in the national points chart at the moment, lying 5th in the points table here at Hartlepool. We'll see how he gets on. In fact, he's just been overtaken there by world champion 190 Len Wolfenden. The leading car goes rather wide and lets the Starman go through very comfortably indeed. And that's the sort of problems that happen when one goes out of control. 3 or 4 more go in, and that's taken 4, now 5 cars out of the race. World champion Len Wolfenden putting the pressure on 260 Starman Dave Beresford. Now, how well is Dave going to be able to withstand that pressure? That's really the question that has now to be answered. A little bit of psychological pressure first by sitting on the tail, then comes the hardware, bang! Out into the fence goes 260, and the world champion goes up front. That's why, of course, he sports that go through. The rest of the field come funneling through. 260 is still there in second place, Dave Beresford, and the third place at the moment is still car number 218, Derek Fairhurst, a little way back. But there's no doubt about who's going to come home first in this. Over the line he goes, 190, Len Wolfenden. 260 is second, Dave Beresford. And in third place, it's 218, Derek Fairhurst.
Well, have you ever seen a collection of trophies like that one? Unbelievable, isn't it? The man who won them all is Stu Smith, perhaps the most famous name in stock car racing history. Stu, unfortunately, you won't be adding to that collection today because you've got a bad back injury. But looking back over your career, how much has the sport changed?
Well, in the beginning, it virtually started with bangers, old cars, what you could buy for next to nothing, MOT rejects, you know, and it's sort of evolved from that, really. Now we're racing very sophisticated machines around a small quarter-mile oval. The idea is to get round as fast as possible. We use special suspensions, big engines, you know, very strong cars that will take a fairly good wallop. But we're only allowed to use ordinary road tyres, which generally cuts the speed down, which I think is a good thing, really, because we get plenty of action then, pushing and shoving and race changing and all that.
What is it that appeals to you in stock car racing that maybe you wouldn't find in any other motorsport?
Well, it's virtually pretty safe. It's a pretty safe sort of motorsport, even though we do quite a few somersaults now and again and get our cars wrecked. There's one or two injuries, you know, around the job, but compared with Formula One Grand Prix racing, it's dead safe, really.
I'll take your word for it, having seen today. Thanks very much.
55 going right through there on the inside to take it up. So that's Bert Finnegan now into the lead. The white top goes down to second, Barry Burton in 5.23, and he's now got Gerald Taylor in 2.50 there in third place, coming now to put the pressure on in this final couple of laps, or final lap now, to try and take the second place. But the man now who's looking all set to take the checkered flag on the left of the picture is 55 Bert Finnegan. A little further back, we've got a battle for the second place, but it's going to be 55 Bert Finnegan who wins. Second goes to 2.50 Gerald Taylor, and third man sneaking up right at the end there was the star man 3.04 Dave Miller. 2 more laps to go for this man 1.60. He goes through, and the second place man is still 36 with 1.99 now right on his tail. While we've been watching the leader, 1.99 has gone up into 1.99 has gone now through up into the next place. 36 is tucked in behind him, and 2.18 is there as well. 1 more lap to go. There's 1.99. He's going very nicely now. He's got himself in second place, but the man who's through and clear is car number 1.60, crossing the line now to take the checkered flag as the winner. So a nice win for Andy Stott in car number 1.60. Andy Stott.
On to the final heat then, and plenty of support for world champion Lynn Wolfenden as he aims to snatch a place in the front row for the final. So what tactics can we now expect from the Wolf?
Well, the basic tactic is to get to the front as fast as possible and stay there. It's not a case of pushing a driver that fast that they can't make the corner. It's a case of touching the driver on the back bumper to get him wide enough for you to get through on the inside, and then close the gate once you've gone through, you know, and obviously going as fast as ever you can.
Frankie Wainman, one of the very competent drivers in the sport, knows his way around the tracks. Well, at the moment, 3.04 is playing a bit of a waiting game. He's going to have to change that because time is running out. There'll be 2 more laps to go when they come through this time. But if Dave Miller's going to put the pressure on in 3.04, in that rather unusual car with that high aerofoil on the roof, then now is the time he's really got to do it. Maybe he's going to adopt the attitude that the points he's gained will put him in the final, and he doesn't want to risk damaging the car at this stage, and therefore perhaps the second place will be okay. I suspect indeed that is going to be the policy. A second place and the points that it brings is better than finishing up in the fence and not being able to go into final. So there we are as they come over the line. 1.90. Len Wolfenden takes the first place. 3.04. Dave Miller is second, and 2.12. Frankie Wainman comes home third. And so this is what it's all about, the trophy that they're chasing this afternoon. And at the end of the heats, this is the way the points list looks. And of course, it's those points that are going to determine the positions on the grid. And with 3 wins under his belt, Bert Finnegan in car number 55, scoring 30 points, must be in with a good chance. The man who'll be alongside him is the reigning world champion Lynn Wolfenden, and local driver Gerald Taylor. He's only on the second row, so he's got a good prospect as well. Further back, starman Willie Harrison in number 2 can be relied on to put in a good performance. And another local driver, John Toulson, will be in there, hoping that he can be in at the finish. The lower point scorers there, well, we've got John Dowson in car number 294. 10 points he managed to clock up with a couple of useful back places. And Gordon Forster, he scored 5. To end the lineup at the back, Pete Morton in 132 and Ray Tilsley will have the disadvantage of starting right at the back of this very impressive grid. And Roger Thames is down waiting for us now on the start line.
Well, as we expected, Len Wolfenden's right there on the front row of the grid. Alongside him, though, Bert Finnegan from Leek, who's been setting all the standards. 3 firsts so far, Bert. You couldn't do much better than that.
No, I can't grumble at that. It's a very good position to start off with.
And you haven't been to Hartlepool for a couple of years. You don't seem to have forgotten your way around the track.
No, it's a nice little track. I like coming up here, but it's such a long way for me from Leek Line.
Is the Wolf the man to beat?
It is a doubt. A race in doubt till flag's over, though.
Best of luck, anyway. Well, the man carrying the local hopes will surely be Gerald Taylor. Right behind him, number 250. A first and 2 seconds so far. Gerald, you must be pleased with that.
Very pleased indeed, yes. If that can go as well in this final, I'll be quite happy.
And obviously, the local crowd behind you on your own track.
Oh yes, I get a good support of the crowd around here. And I know the track pretty well, so I'll be trying till the end.
Well, a great racing prospect then. We can go back now for the start and join Nigel King.
And after all the trials and tribulations of the heats, finally that green flag goes down on the 1982 Daily Mirror British Stock Car Drivers' Championship. And with the start lineup on the grid being determined by the points gained in those earlier heats, we've got some of the top drivers in the country right on the very front of the grid. And of course, the very man who should have been out there defending the title today, former world champion Stu Smith, got himself an injury at Bradford on Friday night, and he's joining me here in the commentary box. And as you can see at the moment, we've got 190, the reigning world champion, Len Wolfenden out there, and right on his tail is car number 160, Andy Stott. How do you fancy it at the moment, Stu?
Well, I should think at the moment that Len Wolfenden is definitely got a good chance of winning this. He stuck the bumper in early on there and got pushed Finnegan wide, and it really looks as though he's got a really good chance of winning it, although you can't discount Andy Stott, who's right behind him now, but there's a long way to go yet.
OK, will Andy be quite happy to use the bumper on the back of that 190 car, do you think?
Yes, I do, yes.
He won't mind pushing him out.
That's correct.
OK, well, we'll wait and see what happens. This is the man who's up front at the moment, then. Accomplished driver, experienced driver, knows his way around this track, and of course he's got the advantage of starting up front. So there we are, 190, Len Wolfenden, the reigning world champion, 160. Andy Stott in second place, 55, Bert Finnegan is third. The guy who won the European Championship some 3 weeks ago down at Brayfield, 199, Mike Close, is in fourth place. Behind him comes our local lad, 250, Gerald Taylor. And then going back a little further, we've got the 304 car of Dave Mellor. So that's the leading group at the moment. "25 laps is the distance. So there's a long way to go yet. And in a moment or two, the leading group will begin to come up behind some of the slower back marker cars, and that really is where the test comes. Looking for the gaps, looking for the chances, but at the moment, Len Wolfenden is still there, and Andy Stott is still sitting on his tail. Now, Andy Stott getting a little closer, putting the pressure on psychologically, if not physically. Len Wolfenden a little wide coming around that turn. Do you think Andy Stott is going to be happy to sit there for a few more laps, or is he the sort of driver who'll want to get Len Wolfenden out of the way early on, Stu?
I would think Andrew will just stop there until the latter half of the race, because if you pass Len Wolfenden and give him a chance, he'll have you out. He's a true stock car driver, and you've just got to watch what you're doing. I think that's why Andrew is just stopping behind him for the moment.
Right, but Andy Stott there, of course, in second place, right behind him, has of course got 55 Bert Finnegan. There he is, and I think in a minute or two we'll perhaps see Bert Finnegan beginning to close in on the back end of the 160 car. So the first three now tight together, 190 Len Wolfenden, 160 Andy Stott, and 55 Bert Finnegan. Just taking it easy, the laps ticking away. 13 of them have gone now, so we're just on halfway, a fraction over halfway, as Len Wolfenden comes past one of the slower back marker cars, getting the Union Jack there to indicate that he's the leader. So the 1, 2, 3 is still the same. 190 Len Wolfenden, 160 Andy Stott, 55 Bert Finnegan. Then we go back to 199 Mike Close is in the next place. Then it's 304 Dave Mellors. 53 is tucked in behind. Next is John Blunt. 15 laps gone. 10 more to go now. Now a little bit of a gap is beginning to open out between, and he's got there in a little bit of bother. He's got himself wide there, and Bert Finnegan was nearly had a chance, in fact, to go through there. What happened there, Stu, do you think? Andy got a bit excited, went in a bit too fast.
Yes, I think so. Although...
Here he comes again. Look, exactly the same thing. I wonder if there's trouble with that car, because Andy Stott seemed to give way very, very easily there. Bert Finnegan had no trouble getting through, and that was really a repeat of what happened just now.
That's correct, yeah. That's what you call sticking the bumper in. That's what stock car racing is all about.
So Len Wolfenden there, of course, able to benefit by the fact that while the second and third men were fiddling about, sorting themselves out, he was able to, of course, make a little more speed and widen that gap even more. 18 laps gone, 19 coming up now, 5 more laps to go in a moment or two. And this is the man who's still in the lead, 190. Our local lad, Gerald Taylor, a bit further back in 250. He's some way down the field. He's about 8th or 9th at the moment, still trying to make up ground, but he's got a lot to do to get up back with those leaders. So here's Len Wolfenden then, now some 30, 40 yards clear of second place man 55 Bert Finnegan. 160 Andy Stott is still there third, and 199 Mike Close is fourth. Well, it's beginning to look, Stu, as if Len Wolfenden's going to add this title to the ones he's already got.
Yes, I would think so. He's now got himself in his stride. His tyres are not getting too hot. He's not burning any rubber, and he's really going well. And Finnegan and Stotty are racing the lives out there, and they just don't seem to be catching him.
Right. Well, that's it. There's 190. There's 160. Andy Stott. Sitting on the tail now of Bert Finnegan. He made that mistake and got out a little wide, let Bert Finnegan through, and I think he's really going to find it very difficult to get back now, and I really, at this stage of the race, can't see either of them getting past the reigning world champion, 190, Len Wolfenden, inside his final lap now. There he is, looking all set now to take this Daily Mirror British Stock Car Drivers' Championship. The checkered flag is at the ready. He comes off the final turn, smoke coming up from the tyres. It looks as if that final lap came not a moment too soon as he crosses the line to become the champion. 190, Len Wolfenden is the winner. In second place, number 55, Bert Finnegan. Third was Andy Stott in car number 160. And further back, we've got 199, Mike Close in fourth place. There's the second place, 55, Bert Finnegan. Drove well, took advantage of the error made by 160 Andy Stott when he went wide to get up there and take the second place. And there's the man who had to be content with third at the end of the day. But the man who is now going to add another title to those he already holds is this man here, 190, reigning world champion and now British Stock Car Drivers' Champion, Len Wolfenden.
So the Wolf does it again and picks up the only major trophy he'd never won. Well, we hope you've enjoyed stocks from Hartlepool. We'll say goodbye now, but we leave you with the 1982 British Drivers' Champion, Len Wolfenden.
Ladies and gentlemen,